Hey, boys, look what I got here.
Hey, where are the white women at?
From the world-famous Blackbird Studios, it's the Rave X podcast. And now, Rave X.
Thank you, T-Money. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my show, the Rave X podcast. I'm your host, Rave X, the baddest man in podcast, and you guys know that. Now, first of all, before we dive into this week's episode 38, let me just take time out to thank a lot of the new listeners. We get a lot of new subscribers and a lot of new people tuning into the show, man, and we couldn't do it without you, because this isn't my show. I mean, it is, but you know what I'm saying. This is our show, and every week we keep climbing and climbing with more and more views and more hits. You guys are going to the RaveX Music at bandcamp.com site. You're hitting up the YouTube site. You're hitting me up on Facebook with suggestions and ideas, and I really appreciate it, so I will just say thank you. And now, let's dive in. So, when I graduated high school, I had to find a job, right? You know that feeling when you graduate high school and you go like, holy shit, what do I do now? I don't have any money. So I had to find a job, and I was around 19, and there was a little convenience store not too far from where I live. And, they seem like cool people in there, so I noticed the help wanted sign. I go in there. There's a tall, skinny, redhead guy with a ponytail behind the counter, and I asked for an application, and I took it home and filled it out. And now, with that being said, I got the job, and we all ended up being friends, and I ended up hiring two of my bandmates, man, my drummer and my guitar player. And we worked there for not very long, about a year and a half. You know what it was like? It was like that movie Clerks. Remember that Kevin Smith movie Clerks? It was just like that with me and two of my band members. And it was a lot of fun, man. The biggest fun was waiting till the shifts overlapped and then putting the back in 5 minute sign on the door and then going downstairs and just fucking smoking pot. And then coming upstairs and eating like a whole box of creamsicles and just power chugging like kiwi strawberry Snapple or something like that. It was a really great thing. And a really great job to work at with you and your friends from like 19 to 20, right? So I worked the day shift. Eventually I became assistant manager. And my drummer, he worked the 6 to 11 shift, I believe it was. So me and my boss were there in the daytime, and we're doing all the paperwork and ordering and daytime stuff that you do. And then Dan comes in, and, we give each other the high five, hand off the keys to the kingdom. And me and my boss, let's just call him John, we went off to a cocktail party at this girl Stacy's house, which was around the corner. If you know the Harvard Square area, she had an apartment overlooking Harvard Square, you know what I mean? So me and my boss, John, is that what I'm calling him, John? Sure, whatever. We're at this cocktail party, man, and we're just having a blast, man. We're drinking, we're smoking, doing our thing. There was probably like 6 girls there and 5 dudes, so, we had a good ratio going on. And he had a pager because back then not everyone had cell phones. I mean, they were available. You could buy them. But, the world hadn't turned to where it is now where you need a goddamn cell phone. So my boss had his pager on him. So he keeps getting this page from Dan at the store. And then finally the page said 911, 911, 911. Now my boss says, where's the phone? I got to call this guy. He keeps blowing up my pager. And he calls him. And he comes back in the room and he looks at me and he goes, holy shit, the store just got robbed. And I'm looking at him like, is Dan okay? And he's like, yeah, he's fine, but they took like $200, blah, blah, blah. We got to go back. So it is amazing how fast you will sober up when you realize that the store that you're the assistant manager of just got robbed and your buddy was behind the counter. So we sober up as quick as we can, man. We hightail it through Harvard Square, back to this little hole-in-the-wall convenience store that we called home. And we walk in, and I look up at my buddy, Dan, and he just had this blank expression on his face. And the register was still open, and I guess that he had called for the police, but the police hadn't showed up yet. We got there before they did. And so my boss, John, goes in there, starts going through the register. Fuck, he got everything, He asked for some of the scratch tickets, but, my buddy was smart enough to not give him the scratch tickets, He just killed time and stuff. Here's the problem. Every convenience store has a little panic switch that you can slide your foot underneath, right? And you can hit that, and it sends out a silent alarm to the police. But my buddy Dan was wearing some steel-toed Timberland boots, and his foot didn't fit underneath the panic switch, right? I guess that's something you should test out first. But his foot didn't fit under there, so he just had to kill time until something happened and stall. And what he told me was this guy come in, and he goes over to where the lottery things are, with the Mass Millions, Mega Millions, whatever, and he writes on the ticket, "Give me all the money in the register. I have a gun. Don't be stupid." Now, the funny thing was, from what I remember, he misspelled the word stupid. He literally spelled it like stupid, right? And he hands my buddy the note, and my buddy's a pretty smart guy, man. He picks up the note and he looks at it, and he says, "The lottery machine's over there. What are you doing?" And the guy says, "Nah, man, read the note." And he's like, "You have a gun?" He's like, "Look, man, I'm serious." And he's like, all right. Now, there was this thing we used to do for shits and giggles where we would pretend like we couldn't open the register. You know what I mean? Like if someone was at the register and we didn't like them, we would just keep hitting buttons and it would be beeping and shit. And we'd be like, "Oh, I can't get the register open. Sorry." We were young. We were like 19, 20. We would just do that for shits and giggles. So that's what my buddy did. He just pretended like he couldn't get the register open. Finally, the guy got real irate and slammed his hand down and said, "Open the damn register, I'm serious." So my buddy opened the register. He, the bad guy, reached into his pocket like he had a gun, and he said, "Don't make me shoot you, man. I'm serious. Don't be stupid." Stupid. They always tell you just the money is whatever. It's not worth dying over. So my buddy gave him the money, about $100 and something when it was all said and done. And then he said, "Now give me the scratch tickets." And my buddy just kept killing time like, "Oh, I can't give you, I don't know." And then someone walked in the store and the guy took off. So that's when he started making the calls. We get the calls and then we come in there. And so flash forward, he's standing there, he's scared. He's trembling with adrenaline. Fine, I calmed him down. My boss goes right to the register and starts looking to see what's missing, and he was good with numbers, let's say. So when it was all said and done, we didn't lose that much for the higher ups, for our bosses. We made it seem like we lost $50. Really, it was close to 200. So we start asking, what did he look like? Which way did he go? Eventually the police come in. We start telling the police what happened. They ask him, "Did you ever see a gun?" He said, "No, but he gave me this note. I have a gun. Don't be stupid. STOOOOPID. Yeah, guys, criminals are dumb, aren't they? And then, that was kind of that. And I remember, my buddy locked the store. My boss told him, "You can lock the store for an hour and just chill for a bit." And then me and my boss went down to the river to just kind of think about how we were going to deal with this situation, because our boss, the main man, was he was a dick. He was a bad person. And that's why all of his stupid little chain stores went out of business. And we knew that he could conceivably fire us for the store getting robbed. Like somehow it was our fault. So we went down in the river and we just chilled there, man. And again, we had a buzz, but the buzz was kind of leaving quickly. You know what I mean? So a couple of days went by and things are getting back to normal. You know what I mean? And we all decided we were going to go shoot pool. There was a place down near Kendall Square, if you guys know the area, called Flat Top Johnny's, man. And that was a great place. When I first got hired there, my boss took me out there and paid for everything because he was a good guy. So we went there, man, and we're shooting pool and all this stuff. And we ordered what we would always order, a couple of beers, some burritos, you know what I mean? So we're waiting on our burritos, and it's taking a really long time. So my buddy goes and asks him, "Hey, what's up with our food?" And I said, "Oh, the cook's going to bring it out to you, okay?" So at this point, I took off and went to the bathroom. And I get back, and I see my boss and the guy who got robbed, Dan, saying, that they're talking like, pss, 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 pss. And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "The guy who just brought out the burritos, that's the guy who fucking robbed me." And I'm like, "No, dude, are you sure?" And he goes, "Bro, I'm sure. And he started describing what he looked like. And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And so we tell the boss, and the boss is like, "Yeah, okay, I believe you. That's the guy. Okay, what are we going to do?" So now my boss used to go to that pool hall all the time, and he kind of knew the managers. And he said, "All right, let's take our food away from where we're at now. Let's cash out the pool table. Let's go to the opposite side of the kitchen so he kind of can't see us anymore." And my boss was going to go talk to the manager of Flat Tops at the pool hall. And he says, "Hey, look, man, my store got robbed a few days ago. And my cashier, Dan, right over there, he was the one who got robbed. The guy said he had a gun. He took us for like $200. And then when the cook brought out our food, that was the guy. And maybe he knew that was Dan, so that's why it took so long for him to bring it out. And he just kind of came out, put the food down, turned around and walked away. But we are 100% sure that your cook robbed our convenience store like 4 days ago." And the manager kind of gave him a look like, you know what, dude? Okay, I believe you. We've had some trouble with him. You know, we've had some things missing. I wasn't sure if that was him, but now that you're telling me he robbed your convenience store, okay, that's all I need to know. So he's like, all right, guys, you know what? You don't have to pay for everything or anything. Just take your food if you want. Go outside, whatever. I'm going to call the police. And we're like, oh, shit. Okay. So we kind of take our food and our beer and we take it outside where you could sit. And we sat way off to the left so no one could really see us. And we just waited and waited and waited. And it seemed like it took forever. But eventually, the police came in and they escorted him out in handcuffs. And he didn't see us. Like, he didn't even know where we were. So they took him out in handcuffs. We went back in, got our pool table back. The manager came up to us and said, hey, man, I'm sorry. You know, that guy was a bad seed. I shouldn't have hired him in the first place. I had a bad feeling about him. But he's already got warrants, apparently, so he's going away for a long time. And you guys can enjoy your food and shoot pool for free. Wow. What are the chances? What are the chances that you would have your store robbed? And look, my buddy never saw a gun, so maybe he didn't have a gun. He was probably just desperate. And who knows how much money he makes as a cook at a pool hall, right? But what are the chances that you would get robbed at a store, and then a few days later go to shoot pool, and the guy who brings you out your food is the guy who robbed the effing store? It was crazy, and it was just one of these funny things, you know. Like I said, no one got hurt, so it's kind of, we can laugh about it now. And he went to jail, you know, probably got 10 years for some prior warrants that he had, and we never saw him again. But just to be safe, we didn't go back to the pool hall for like another couple of weeks, you know what I mean? Wow. What a story, guys. What a story. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I got shit to do. My name's Rave X, episode 38, The Pool Hall Bandit. That's right. And do me a favor, kids. Remember this. Sometimes, that in which you seek shall appear directly in front of you. My name's Rave X, and I'm out of here.
That was the Rave X podcast. Be sure to click like and subscribe. For podcasts, new music, and all things Rave X, go to youtube.com and search Rave X Music.